Happy Tuesday! My name's Nick.
My name is Alan.
And welcome into the dungeon.
During the fight, 3 Sommerlending soldiers come to the brothers' aid. The swords slice into the evil warhounds until both dogs stiffen and die. The brothers thankfully stagger to their feet and try to assess the situation as a battle rages all around them. Sommerlending soldiers still man the barricade, forming in groups that hold firm where the wall does not. Spears and arrows arc through the sky, piercing metal, wood, and flesh. Men fall from their horses. Horses scream and bolt. And the dead and the wounded lie everywhere. The warhounds have been driven back upon the spears of their masters, who now advance behind a wall of shields. To the brothers' right, a bandit warrior is trying to jump his horse across the barricade, but the animal is wounded and near to death. It cannot make the jump. The rider is hurled forwards over the wall, falling close behind the brothers.
We've got 2 options here. We have to decide whether to attack the bandit warrior, and in doing so turn to section 90, or if we wish to rally the Sommerlending soldiers to repel the advancing spearmen by turning to section 3. What are you feeling?
So I imagine if we rally the soldiers, we are letting the bandit warrior, the one that went flying over the barricade, do his own thing behind the barricade? Is that what it's implying?
Yeah, that seems to be what it's implying.
And if we attack the bandit warrior, then we forget about those spearmen. Seems like 2 tough choices here.
Yeah, neither seems particularly good. Although it says to rally the Sommerlending soldiers, so I imagine they're around, maybe doing the wrong thing. And what we need to do is sort of gather them together to sort of repel, as it says there, those advancing spearmen, rather than have everybody in individual little fights.
Yeah, but that would let the bandit warrior run amok if we are engaged with the other spearmen. But if we engage with the spearman, or rather with the bandit warrior, then the spearmen are gonna advance. I'm thinking to rally the Sommerlending soldiers to repel the advancing spearmen, because spearmen, there's more than one, it might get overwhelming. If we're able to fend off the spearmen, then we can deal with the bandit warrior, might be easier. If we have to deal with the bandit warrior whilst the spearmen are advancing, we might be in trouble.
Yeah, we might get caught with a pants then.
Pretty much.
We're going to rally the soldiers then?
I'd say yeah.
The brothers climb the barricade, and Torrin shouts out the order.
Draw the bows!
And as the enemy shield wall closes fast in a deadly race to beat their archers,
fire!
Their shields of cured skin and wood are no defense against the hail of death that tears into their ranks. The whole line seems to pause and sway. Great gaps appear, and spearmen fall in heaps in the field. Few escape being injured. The LoneWolf sense a turn in the tide of battle. The enemy are pulling away from the barricades by the score, carrying the wounded on their backs and on their upturned shields. Lander and Torrin jump down from the wall and race back towards the watchtower, where Captain Deval is still embroiled in a bitter struggle against the bandit horsemen. Lander jumps over the body of a dead bandit warrior. Torrin leaps after, but then, suddenly, he comes to life and lashes out at Torrin's legs with a mace. He was only feigning death, and his surprise attack has knocked Torrin to the ground. He loses 1 endurance point.
Lander! There's one alive here!
I'm coming, Torrin! We've got no option here but to turn to section 62.
The bandit springs to his feet and attacks Torrin with his mace. We need to deduct 2 from the combat skill for the first 3 rounds of combat, as Torrin is now lying on the ground. I cannot evade the combat and must fight the bandit to the death.
This bandit warrior has a combat skill of 17 and endurance of 48. So Lander has a combat ratio of +5, and Torrin for the first 3 rounds has a combat ratio of +2. I'm going to say that because Torrin's on the floor and already underneath this warrior, you should go first. Lander's running back to help you.
Alright, so Torrin struggles to get up. He cannot, because I imagine The warrior is attacking him with a spear or whatever he has. Not too bad.
It's good, it's good.
For a first roll, it's a 7, which means Torin, lying on the floor, almost helplessly, manages to wriggle and writhe, avoiding the oncoming attacks of the bandit warrior. As the warrior gets more and more frustrated, Torin is able to find an opening and slash at the warrior, dealing him 10 points of endurance damage. The warrior winces, momentarily stepping backwards, and then comes forward with his foot raised and plants it on Torin's face, dealing Torin 1 point of endurance damage.
So Torin's down to 18, and the warrior is down to 38. So it's a lander now. Oh, don't do that to me, man.
Whoa.
Don't do that to me.
Unlucky ducky.
It hovered precariously over the goose egg, and then teased me by jumping onto a 2.
It's a goose. The 2 is a goose. And he's coming for his egg.
Lander's rushing towards his brother's aid, Sommersword in hand. He manages to nick the shoulder of this warrior, but is then met by his elbow, square across his jaw.
Oh, damn.
Lander's able to deliver 7 points of slashing damage, in exchange for 3 following that blow to his face. It's back over to Torin.
Torin, still lying on his back, still struggling to get up, slashes out towards the warrior again. He manages to slash at his ankles, making the warrior scream in pain. Not before he plunges his own weapon into Torin, finding purchase underneath his chainmail. Torin takes 2 points of damage, but deals 8 to the warrior.
The warrior is down to 23 endurance points, and Torin is down to 16. Things are getting hairy.
Very much so. We need to start rolling a bit higher.
So it's a lander now.
Ooh, that'll do nicely.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's an 8. Lander lets out a cry of defiance following that blow to his face, and having seen Torin stabbed by the warrior's weapon. Again he raises the Sommersword, and it crashes down, cleaving through the enemy's armor, delivering a saucy 14 points of endurance damage.
Oof, he's gonna feel that in the morning.
I expect that he's not going to be around in the morning. And this time Lander takes 0 in exchange. The warrior is down to just 9 points of damage.
Ooh, he's hanging on there.
Come on, Torin, this is your last round on the floor. After this you can get up.
So yeah, Torin's still on the floor, still trying to get up, struggling to do so.
Oh, we'll take that.
We'll take that indeed, that's a 7. The warrior, now enraged by the brutal blow dealt by Lander, is trying his utmost to finish off Torin. In his frenzy, he's missing more than finding his mark, only being able to glance at Torin with his weapon. Again, Torin waits for an opening and kicks the warrior's feet from under him. As the warrior falls, cracking his head on the floor, Torin takes his bone scimitar and plunges it straight through the warrior's heart. As he does so, he uses a momentum to finally stand up.
Are you right, Torin?
It's just a flesh wound, Lander. I'll be okay. You should be worried for the warrior, though.
I can see. Still, I think you should use one of your lamp spur potions.
I think you're right, Lander.
So yeah, I'm gonna use one of my potions. I've got 15 endurance points only, so I'm gonna take that potion. I've got 2, and it will give me plus 4 endurance points back. So up to 19, not too bad.
I'm gonna have a check and see how Lander's doing. 28 out of 35. I think I can go a couple rounds more.
Yeah, I think you're fine. We're in the midst of battle here, but we seem to be turning the tides. So let's see how long it will last.
We've won the battle, so we're turning now to section 148. To me! To me!
Captain Daval's voice booms out above the battle noise.
Rally to me! Sommerlending!
The brave captain draws about him a shielded wedge of soldiers and charges into the flank of the horsemen. They reel and buckle as the shield wedge hews its way through their company. A Vasagonian herald, his crimson armour torn and his face smeared with blood, breaks free from the battle and sounds the retreat. The brothers watch as the surviving bandits spur their mounts to the gallop, desperate to escape through the ragged hole in the barricade. Gripped by panic and fatigue, they ride through their own foot soldiers who are advancing to support them. The infantry falter and collapse as the cavalry ride them down. Captain Daval leads his men to the barricade and directs a lethal volley of arrows into the shattered infantry. It is the last straw. They throw down their weapons and flee from the clouds of arrows raining down on them from out of the smoke-filled sky. A battle cry, proud and strident, pursues them across the plain.
For Sommerlending! For Sommerlending!
We both get 1 endurance point back.
Seems as we have won this battle.
It would appear so.
We now need to turn to section 137.
All around the barricade, the enemy are retreating in disorder. Banded warhorns announce the withdrawal, exhorting the defeated warriors to flee the battlefield. A jubilant Captain Deval emerges from the war smoke, his eyes shining like jewels beneath the rim of his battered helmet.
We have triumphed, LoneWolves! We have vanquished the foe!
All around the brothers, the captain's men are rebuilding the barricade and tending to the wounded comrades. It sorrows them to see the Sommerlending dead, but they take heart at how few they are beside the enemy losses. The captain ushers them to the watchtower, where their wounds are cleaned and dressed with lampspur. The herbs restore 6 endurance points.
Nice.
Let's get that on our action charts. So Torin's actually up to full health now. And indeed,
So is Landa.
yeah.
Perfect.
Glad I didn't waste that potion now.
We have beaten this foe, but I fear it is but a temporary reprieve. The sacrifice of Baron Vanelun's daughter must be stopped if we are to avoid catastrophe, for our strength will not avail us against a foe freshly risen from the grave.
The words of the verse flood into the brothers' mind, and a chill runs down their spines as they realize what may lie ahead. In 3 days' time, when the moon is full, Baraka will sacrifice the Baron's daughter at the buried temple of the Macken, a sacrifice that will unleash the dead of Mackengorge, the chasm of doom. The lone wolves, Torin and Landa, know that they must prevent the sacrifice.
Dun dun dun.
Boom, 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 boom.
Dun 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 dun. So turn to section 12.
Woo, here we go.
50 miles south of Ruanon, the ruined city of Macken teeters on the brink of Mackengorge. A cold sweat breaks out upon the brothers' brows as they contemplate the difficulty of their mission, for they are separated from their goal by 50 miles of enemy-held territory. But there is still a flicker of hope. With the enemy in confusion and retreat, their chances of success will be far higher now than before battle. Before they set off on their perilous mission, Captain Deval offers the brothers the choice of the following equipment and provisions.
It looks like we only get 1.
So our choices are enough food for 3 meals, some rope, another potion of lampspur, a sword or a spear. I'd say we each choose 1, but can we choose the same thing or...
Yeah, I'd say we can.
So I'm going to choose a potion, obviously.
Ditto for me. We are no longer in the wasteland, so don't need food. We've got rope, and we don't need weapons, so...
1 potion each, thank you.
After having made the necessary adjustments to our action chart, we're now turning to section 140. Dusk soon enshrouds the beleaguered outpost of Ruanon, and the brothers use the cover of darkness to cross the body-strewn plain towards the south. An old highway trails off to Macken, but is choked with Vasagonian warriors. They stand about in sullen groups, tending to the wounded and brooding on their defeat. However, even demoralized and dejected, they are still a deadly foe. It would be too dangerous to risk passing through their ranks, so the brothers must use the forest to conceal their passage. We've got 2 options here. Essentially, we turn through the trees to the right, or we pass through the trees to the left, so we're going to quickly consult the map. Looking at the map, it seems as if the path to the right, as we look at the map, will be the shorter to the ruins of Mackengorge.
Well, the map shows 2 distinct routes, and one of them is surrounded by forest on each side. So I'm thinking what it means is if we take that route, the one that's kind of enveloped by forest, we either take the forest on the right of the highway or the one on the left. I don't think it means to go on the left or right path, because the left path would take you all the way down to Cassiron or whatever it's called down there.
Yeah, you got a point.
According to the map, we want to hug the forest where it kind of meets with the mountains, or we want to go on the other side where it's a bit more open.
I think I'm tempted to say the forest side. Oh, they're both forests, but you know what I mean.
The one without mountains.
The one without mountains, because, you know, I would, if I was a bandit, I would want scouts up on that mountain range looking down at the path.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's take that one, which is the left one, I believe.
That it is. We're turning then to section 314.
The forest is patrolled by bandits, but they take little interest in their guard duties. and the brothers find it easy to avoid them in the dark. Then, by chance, Torin and Landa come across a small log cabin hidden deep in the woods. A candle flickers at the window, and the door is ajar.
Can you see that light, Torin?
Yes, Landa. The door is open.
Why would they leave the door open if there's bandits everywhere? This must be a bandit hideout.
It would seem so, Landa.
I don't think we should investigate this.
Let's keep going.
I couldn't agree more.
So we were given two options. If we wish to enter the hut, we turn to section 53, and if we do not wish to enter the hut, we continue on our mission by turning to 258. And obviously, we've decided 258, not to enter the hut. The brothers quickly leave the hut far behind and press on through the trees. By morning, they have reached the edge of the forest. Staring out across the fields of tall crops, they see a small village lying at the base of a shallow valley. The fields are only separated by narrow tracks, which are alive with flying insects hovering in swarms. The brothers are walking along the track when they suddenly spot bandits ahead. They are wandering idly up the track towards them, the spears slung over their shoulders.
We've got three options here. If we possess an onyx medallion, which we do not, would have been section 305. If we have the Kai discipline of camouflage, which we do, and have reached the Kai rank of guardian or higher, which we have, section 49. And if we did not have the item or the discipline, we would have dove into the tall crops and tried to hide by turning to section 159.
Okay, so section 49 it is.
Lifting their feet high, the brothers step into the tall crops, taking care to part them first with their hands. They allow the stalks to close again behind their backs before they crouch down and hold their breath. The brothers have completely vanished from sight. It is as if the stalks have never been disturbed. The bandits amble past barely inches from where they hide, oblivious to Lander and Torin's presence. When they are sure that they have gone, the lone wolves emerge from the crops and hurry away.
Nice, we avoided that encounter, and now we turn to section 204.
The brothers bypass a village with orange wood cabins and stone walls, and climb through the tall fields towards a wooded ridge. Beyond the ridge they then enter the thick forest, and discover a bubbling freshwater stream. They drink deeply, and realize how hungry they are. They must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. I'm going to say that Lander here uses his hunting skill, so we don't need to do so.
Sounds right.
As night falls, the brothers reach the city of Macken. The gaunt, weed-infested ruins of this shattered city are spread like a vast graveyard, and bathed in the eerie light of a near full moon. A sound fills the air like the wailing of lost souls. It is the cry of Mackengorge. It has been nearly 2 days since the brothers last slept, and fatigue begins to overwhelm them. Drawing their Kai cloaks about their shoulders, they settle down to sleep, for they will need all their strength for the daunting task that lies ahead.
Whoa, it's getting serious.
Shit's getting real.
For real. We need to turn to section 142. Dawn arrives, rain-swept and gloom-laden. A pall of drizzle hangs over the ghost city, and the gruesome discord of the wailing winds of Mackengorge makes the brothers feel uneasy. They watch and wait, their Kai cloaks drawn close about their shoulders to keep out the chill, damp air. It was here, during the age of the Black Moon, that King Ulnar of Sommerlend killed the mightiest of the Dark Lords, Lord Vashna, in mortal combat upon the very brink of the abyss. The Dark Lord was slain by the Summersverd. It is said that his death cry, when he fell, will echo through the gorge until the day he rises to wreak his vengeance on Sommerland and the house of Ulnar. Lander's stomach contracts at the thought that this could be that very day. For 5 hours, the brothers observe and take in every detail of the ruined city. The first line of the strange verse keeps repeating itself in their minds.
When the full moon shines over the temple deep. Torin, I'm thinking, the temple must be underground. There must be an entrance to it, but where? We've been staring at this for 5 hours.
Yes, I've been thinking that too, Landa. We've studied nearly every crack in this broken ground.
I think there's only 2 possibilities. That crypt door over there, the one that's guarded by 2 Vasagonian warriors, or that flight of marble steps descending into the earth between the 2 columns of fractured pillars.
I think you're right, Landa. We need to choose one.
As Torin rightly said, we need to choose a path there. If we wish to try and enter the temple through the guarded crypt door, we need to turn to section 183. And if we wish to try to enter the temple via the unguarded marble stairs, we then turn to section 270.
I mean, it's got to be the temple crypt door. Why would you not have guards in the entrance to...
Maybe it's a red herring. It's like, guard that, but that's not really the entrance. Do not guard the entrance so that it doesn't look like the entrance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but after such a mighty defeat, do you think they would take that risk? Knowing that they could raise an undead horde?
Probably not. So we go to the guarded entrance. Thing is, if there's more bandits inside, we're going to raise the alarm. Whereas if we sneak into the temple, it'll be more sneaky.
I think maybe we should try that unguarded entrance. See if there's a secret passage. It's a temple. There has to be secrets and puzzles and levers and trapdoors and all sorts of...
Yeah, they think it's nothing, but it might be a secret door, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're banking on.
270 then?
Yep.
The rain and gloom hide the lone wolves' approach, and they reach the marble stairs unseen. The steps are overgrown with mold and weeds, but a path has been trod through them, leading into the darkness of a huge underground vault. If we possess a torch and tinderbox, we turn to section 29. If we possess a fire sphere, that sounds awesome. Why have we not found that?
I don't know. No, we have no torch or tinderbox. We have no fire sphere. So I'm not sure where we were supposed to find all of this. Obviously, one of the routes we didn't take.
Well, we used to have a torch and tinderbox, but I think we lost it when we had to leave our good old friends, the doggies, back in... I can't remember the name of the place now.
Yeah, the ice place, yeah?
Yeah. It also says that if we have neither of these items, we can continue on our way in the darkness, which doesn't sound like a good plan. I mean, it's pretty much saying you need a source of light, or we can leave the vault and attempt to enter via the crypt door. I'm just going to check our bags on the off chance that we have a torch. No, we don't. At least you don't. Do I have one? No, we do not have any source of light. The fact that there's two choices here for light makes me think...
Yeah, if it's pitch black, we shouldn't be walking in a crypt. It might be trapped, there might be pitfalls, and it's not going to end well. So I think our only option here is to turn around and try the actual crypt door.
Yeah, 183 it is. The brothers manage to reach a tangle of briars growing near the crypt door. And from here, they can observe the Vasagonian guards undetected. More soldiers appear on horseback, riding into Macken from the north. They dismount and approach the door.
Password!
Shouts the crypt guards.
Lon!
Reply the soldiers. The door opens and they're allowed to enter. Armed with a password, the brothers decide to try and enter in the same way. Keeping the hoods of their cloaks raised and the Sommerlending features in shadow, they walk boldly towards the guards. We now need to pick a number from the random number table, and if we have the Kai discipline of camouflage, which thankfully we do, we add +4 to the number we picked.
Yeah, so there's two brackets, 0 to 6 and 7 to 13. So I imagine as we are adding because we are camouflaged, then we need to roll the higher of the two brackets, 7 to 13.
Yeah, so we need to roll at least a 3 here.
I'd say, again, it's your roll. It's your camouflage discipline that's been called here.
Okay.
So it's all down to you.
The goose egg is a 0 here, so we really don't want that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, maximum roll.
So that's a 9 plus 4, 13.
This better be good, because this wouldn't be the first time where a high roll.
Yes, but it's adding the camouflage, so it has to be high.
Yeah.
The brothers' bravado has paid off. The guards accept the password and allow them to enter the crypt. As the stone door is drawn shut, the brothers find themselves in a wide torchlit corridor heading towards the east. Have no options but to turn to section 235. The corridor ends at a flight of steps that descends 100 feet into the earth. At the bottom, a short passage leads to a junction where a tunnel runs from north to south. To the north, the brothers can see a torchlit cavern with what appear to be observation slits carved into the wall. To the south, a passage leads towards a low balcony.
What should we do, Thorin?
I think we should investigate the torchlit cavern, Lander.
I was thinking perhaps using the balcony as a vantage point.
A vantage point for what?
Hopefully we can see if there's any more guards around, or perhaps we can catch a glimpse at the altar where the sacrifice will take place.
I was thinking it might be in the cavern.
It would make sense to be lit. I know, something's telling me to take a look at that balcony.
Okay, Lander. I'll trust your instinct this time. Let's go to the balcony.
I hope I'm right.
So do I.
Oh dear.
So we turn to section 100. If anything goes wrong, it's a black mark for Nick.
It's been a while since we've had a black mark. An empty feeling grips the brothers' stomach as they stare upon the altar and inner sanctum of the subterranean temple. Lander and Torrin's Kai senses burn as if every nerve in their body is screaming a warning to flee from this evil chamber. Huge braziers of molten metal encircle the black altar, upon which lies fair Madelon, the daughter of Baron Vanelund. She seems to be entranced. Her breathing is slow and shallow. Beyond the altar lie two massive doors, a gigantic skull engraved upon their black stone surface. Out of the brothers' view, another door opens, and a procession of red-cloaked priests enter the temple. Their heads are covered, and they carry strange amulets of black stone. They file past the altar, depositing the amulets in a circle around the young girl's body, and then file out again in total silence. Then, the brothers hear the sound of a distant drumbeat. It grows louder and nearer. The measured steps of steel-shod boots resound in its wake. Baraka is approaching.
Ooh. We need to turn to section 215. Baraka carries the stench of death and decay about him. He strides into the temple, his boots of Gurga's hide covering both legs and feet, and slams shut the huge stone door with frightening ease. He stands in silence before pushing open the huge black doors engraved with the menacing skulls. Suddenly, a gale force wind sweeps through the temple, and the brothers' ears are filled by a terrible scream. Beyond the open doors, a pier of stone juts into the abyss of Mackengorge. The brothers are staring into the chasm of doom. Baraka turns away from the wind-swept pier and walks slowly towards the altar. From a hidden scabbard, he removes a twisted black dagger and holds its stiletto blade to the light. An evil blue flame runs up and down the black steel spike. Flickering in the ice-cold winds of Mackengorge, the sacrifice is about to begin.
And where one thing begins, another ends. Because that, my friends, is where we're gonna call it an episode.
Ooh, there you go, deciding for us two again. You got me by surprise.
You just led me into that with that narration.
Yeah. But I think it's a sweet spot to let it go as well.
Yeah, and it keeps you wanting more, I hope, for next week.
Yeah, so you know what to do. Tune in next week if you want to find out what happens to Baraka and the poor maiden that's on the altar.
Remember that if you cannot wait a whole week, visit our website, www.i2td.com, and follow the links there to our social media pages. And be sure to pop by our Discord page and say howdy do. Whilst you're on our website, it'd be great as well if you could follow the link to our Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can make a one-off donation and buy us a potion, which in this game we're using as rerolls. It's a fun way for you to be a part of the adventures we play and shape the stories we tell. And speaking of the stories we tell, just a little reminder that when we are role-playing and ad-libbing, we're doing that live here whilst we're playing the game. It's not added in post or anything, it's just how we deliberate certain decisions that the book throws our way.
Yep, similar to the other season where we played The Dragon of Ice by a Peak. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you go back and check it out. Anywho, if you cannot donate or wish not to, do not worry, you can still help us out by following on our social media. Again, you'll find the links on i2td.com. Also, maybe leave a review on your podcast player of choice, give us some stars, give us some good ratings, and spread the word of Into the Dungeon. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone you know. Thank you very much. Every little helps.
I feel like I've got to slap my back pocket now.
Hehe.
That's a Tesco ad for those of you in...
Asda.
Was it Asda?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Asda, wasn't it? That's an Asda throwback for those of you listening from the UK. Not sure if Walmart, I believe, is the owners in the US. If they had a similar jingle.
No idea.
Anyway, we're on to the end of the episode club.
The last one standing.
Here we give you a password, and you use it to prove to us that you have the most endurance points and have got through to the very end of the episode.
You will have to enter your comment in our server in Discord. Go to the channel The Last One Standing, and you can type it out there. It's only valid if you type it there.
If not, you'll be disqualified.
Yes, thrown into the chasm of doom.
Your combat ratio will be set to 0.
Exactly. So, do you have a password for us this week, Nick?
Today's password is sacrifice.
Oh, nice and simple.
Nice and simple, and also a little nod to the sacrifice we're making in this studio.
I knew it.
With the blistering heat.
Yes, I knew it. We're sweating heaps. Yeah.
We've even brought out what we call over here ice packs. I don't know if that's what they're called wherever you're from, but those little blue bits of plastic that you stick in your freezer to keep your food cool when you go to the beach or the pool. We are using these to try, not very successfully, to keep ourselves cool.
It's doing something, but it's not doing a lot.
No.
But anyway, that's your password there. Remember to use it in the section we mentioned, the channel in our Discord server of The Last One Standing. And again, as a reminder, the password is
Sacrifice.
sacrifice.
My sacrifice.
You never meet again. But we're not going to meet again until next time. So I hope you had a nice time. And catch you next time.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah. So one more time. We'll see you
As we venture
into the dungeon. Spur their mounts to gallop along. To gallop along.
For our strength will not avail us against the foe, freshly risen.
50 miles south of Labuge. 50 miles south of... Killed the mightiest of the Dark Lords, Lord Vashna, in mortal combat. Mortal combat!
Finish him!
We'll see you again as we enter the dungeon.
as we venture into... We're not synced.